Nero 47, DJ Trump, he watches us. And in fact, it's as if he watched this video. I'm pretty sure he did. And it's very interesting what he actually just said in the news. After Apostle Tahar, I already put this video up. I'll play it in its entirety. And we'll just go from there. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, double honors, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And shout out to the Akims out there in the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Bracha Tum. So, this professor, you've seen him before, speaks very good in English, but, speaks on behalf of Iran and has done many interviews on lots of different news agencies, alternative news agencies, and he was on Redacted, and Apostle Tahar goes into this.
Shalom, give no praise to Yahweh, Shalom, 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 to 144,000, rest of the Shalom to all. I'm going to title this video, This War Will Be Worse Than Vietnam. And with that, I can say Afghanistan, let me give you another war. Well, actually, it's going to be the worst war in history because it's going to lead to the War of Armageddon or World War III. So listen to what this individual says, Professor Saeed Mohammed Marandi, and he's been on shows. He's straightforward. He basically says when the U.S. send them ground troops in, they're gonna get cut up, but they're gonna wind up staying there, as we know the scripture. Don't let me have to run down these scriptures off the top of my head. Joel 2 verse 20 is in my mind. Joel 2 verse 1. Joel 3. The whole chapter, Isaiah 13, Isaiah 14, Isaiah 34, Isaiah 24. And I can go on and on. Jeremiah 41, 49, 50, 51. So this is what he says. I slowed it down. This is on a Redacted show with Clayton Morris. I don't think Natalie's on the show. And this is fair use, fair use, fair use. Listen to what the good professor got to say. Hit the wrong button.
To launch an attack on, let's say, to open the Strait of Hormuz, then you're going to have warfare. And there are going to be lots of...
The Strait of Hormuz is not closed. It's closed to American interests. If you're not an American ship or allied to American ship, you can go through. No big deal. If you're an American ship, you can't go through. It's closed for you.
The people. And then all those tankers in the Persian Gulf are going to be destroyed. And then the oil and gas installations are going to be destroyed. So what's the use of having the Strait of Hormuz open if there's no tankers? Or if there's no oil and gas, working oil and gas installation to give oil to those non-existent tankers to take out of the Strait of Hormuz? So this is not a scenario that Trump can carry out. And in order to wage a ground war...
This proves one thing. Nero is a complete and utter idiot. He's an idiot, and Congress, Supreme Court, military, the generals are all spineless. They're all spineless. They let a madman come in there. This nigga been in office for over a year, and y'all let him... You know how the nigga operate, man. Yeah, he is a nigga. A niggardly person.
Iran, he'd have to bring in more troops than he had than the United States
had. You Babylonians are weak and pathetic. That's a topic right there.
For the first Iran, it's just not doable. Iran is much more powerful than Iraq ever was. I think if you want to compare Iran, you'd have to compare to Afghanistan, Vietnam, Iraq, all of these combined, and you still don't.
Those are all long wars. Afghanistan is a 20-year war. Is it 20? I think it's 2002, 2012. I think it's got to be a 23-year war. The U.S. was in. Let me bring it back.
To compare to Afghanistan, Vietnam, Iraq, all of these combined, and you still don't have Iran.
Did you hear that? Let me play that again. Those are three major wars. Afghanistan, 20 plus years. Vietnam, what is that, 10 years? The French was in there, then the U.S. Troops went in there in the late 60s, mid to late 60s, 67, and they were pulled out in 73. So we're talking less than 10 years. And they said it's going to be worse than all three of them.
Afghanistan, Vietnam, Iraq, all of these combined, and you still don't have Iran.
All of these combined, and you still don't have Iran. So they're bringing in them ground troops to become a permanent fixture of the soil of the so-called Middle East.
So, and if something happens in the Persian Gulf region, if the oil and gas installations are destroyed, that will bring down the global economy.
Did you hear what he said? He said not the American, U.S. economy, he said the global economy. We're in a crisis, economic crisis as it is. And this bumbling idiot really fucked things up worse, made shit worse.
The strategic reserves can last for a few weeks, and many countries don't even have strategic reserves. But after that, what are they going to do? When the price of oil goes, I don't know, $250?
And how does that translate in the pump? I don't know how that works. Gallons to barrels. I don't know how that works. But you right now it's somewhere around, hovering around 100, 95, 100. So we're talking 2.5 times, or a time and a half. So you're talking about 150%. That's a gain. If it's $250. So if you translate it, it's going to cost you a lot more. You're talking about maybe $10. I don't have the math. I'm not going to do the math. If somebody want to do the math, you can do the math. You know, how does barrels of oil translate into gasoline? But I guarantee you, if it goes up 150%, meaning a time and a half, that's crazy. You might be looking at $15 a gallon, and that's going to get this place jumping, live and kicking. This man has fucked up. He didn't fuck up the U.S. economy. He fucked up the world economy. Let me bring this back. We're in the analytical stage of filtering stage of this truth. See, we didn't give you all the breakdown, so now we're filtering current events through the scriptures. We spoke about the prophecies. Now they're here. They're here. Not coming to pass. They're here. Most of Revelation prophecies and revelations are taking place as we speak.
But after that, what are they
fair use
going to do? When the price of oil goes, I don't know, $250, that'll bring about collapse. The global economy is already doing quite poorly, and the U.S. economy, you know much better than I. So this is not, this would be a scenario where Trump loses. The only solution is for the United States to back down, for compensation be given to Iran by these regimes in the Persian Gulf that allow the United States to have those bases to attack Iran from there. They have to compensate Iran because they're complicit in the war. And Iran has to have assurances, real assurances, facts on the ground assurances that there will be no more attacks. Not a piece of paper, because Trump last time around tore up the JCPOA, and we've already had 2 rounds of negotiations with the United States, and during those negotiations they kept moving the goalposts, and then ultimately it turned out that they were secretly conspiring to attack us. So negotiations in the traditional sense don't work anymore. We don't trust Trump.
And why would you? Yeah, why would you? Yeah, you show up for peace negotiations or some sort of a negotiation, and then you're bombed, tar. So yeah, I don't understand.
Exactly.
Well, the next pandemic, according to the experts.
Okay, so that's it. I don't know what else we're gonna say, but I had to get that in. Gonna be worse than Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq all put together. The people of Iran, the military, they've been going on for years. They're experienced fighters. And they have missile technology, as we all know. One step closer to what? The mark of the beast, and then the end of this man's system, Shalom. On to the next.
And again, it's as if he watched our videos. If you catch what Trump said in response, and it's hilarious because somebody was actually getting around that, so our videos are being watched. You already know that Nero already said that we must reject these prophets of doom, so he acknowledges who we are. We the prophets of doom have the 100% truth. U.S. farmers worried about fertilizer amid Iran war, because like everything else, so this is essential. It's a lot more than just oil. This is bringing about global economic collapse, which will usher in the MOTB. So, Slovakia, let me get that audio.
County.
Wind it back.
I'm a 7th generation farmer here in Ray County. I'm about 30 miles east of Kansas City. I farm corn,
So yeah, there's
soybeans,
panic.
wheat. The whole operation consists of about 5,000 acres. We've seen steady increase of input prices over the last several years. And of course, along with that, grain markets are up and down, up and down.
This will cause a famine.
Has been down.
It's going to get a lot
so
worse.
It's really a struggle when the input
tell you
prices
that.
continue to go up, grain prices are low. With the high fertilizer prices, I think you'll see some farmers switch some corn acres to bean acres. And I haven't pulled that trigger, decided to do that yet, but I'm sure thinking about it. I've talked to my supplier about what we need. We've got some of it locked in. He's still having some struggles getting the fertilizer that he needs locked in too.
We really don't know what the prices are going to do. It does depend on how long this conflict keeps going, and if ships and containers can start to move through the Straits of Hormuz. Hopefully we can see some calming down of those prices and really get back to I don't know if there is such a thing as a normal year, but
yeah, this retard is really fucked you.
That allow some profitability on those farms.
The margins get smaller and smaller. So we just have to really work hard to trim our costs and be as frugal as we can be, but still, provide the soil and the crop what it needs to grow and produce. So we put all this money into seed, chemical, fertilizer, fuel, labor, machinery, repairs, all that stuff, parts, and you just hope that the good Lord gives you a crop to take care of all that.
So, like everything else, this is going to cause crops to fail, ultimately. Really punishing Babylon because this retard can't shut his fucking mouth. Trump always is running his fucking mouth. And like everything else, the retards that back him are even more so. Pretty much so. It's as if he watched our video. And he says in an interview, I am not afraid. Trump says he's not afraid of a Vietnam-style ground combat mission in Iran. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of mass casualties, etc. So I'm sure that everybody has no problems putting their lives on the line to save this babbling retard.
The Iranian regime has told Sky News, if you put boots on the ground in Iran, it will be another Vietnam. Are you afraid of that?
No, I'm not afraid of. I'm really not afraid.
Yeah, because you're not doing the fighting.
There are thousands of US Marines on the way. What happens if they get used, do you think?
We defend.
What does that mean, though, for these Marines if they were to land in Kharg Island?
Just read what happened in Vietnam.
If they were to be sent into Iran, what would they be used for?
Well, they're not part of the plan for this operation at this time, but I certainly would never take away military options on behalf of the President of the United States or the Commander-in-Chief, and he wisely does not do the same for himself.
So he has no problems sending in ground troops. He doesn't care. It's going to be like another Vietnam. Stupid motherfucker. Slovakia. President Trump said Tuesday he's not afraid to deploy ground troops into Iran, further emphasizing the lengths he's willing to go through to save his ass. Speaking from the Oval Office alongside Ireland's Michael Martin, the president fielded many questions about the Iran war. Are you afraid that if you put boots on the ground in Iran, it would be another Vietnam? And he shot back, adding, I'm not afraid of anything. So he's not afraid. Not afraid for you to die for him and for the U.S. to lose military right and left worse than Vietnam. He's not afraid of any of that. It's as if he watched our video. He's all in. In fact, this video is going into it. Trump's all in. You ready to die for a shit-talking president? Gotta laugh about it because it reminds me of an old Ghetto Boys song. I ain't going to war for no shit-talking president. Fuck a war. That was talking about George Bush at the time, man. How much worse is Trump as compared to Bush? You can't even make the comparison. Trump talks more shit than George Bush ever did. And he does use humor in his videos, but nonetheless, though, just like Jimmy Dore does, but a little different than Jimmy Dore, but nonetheless, though, you know, discussing this war, right? You know, and what's happening, you know, just because Trump, man, I mean, he just really talks a lot of shit. And you laugh when he gets his ass kicked, but it's not his ass getting kicked, it's everybody else's ass getting kicked because of him talking shit. You know how it is. I mean, you get to a point that you're tired of defending your friend who keeps talking shit. You've defended him a few times. You come to his defense a few times, right? And then it's just like, you get to a point that you ain't defending him anymore. Yeah, I know he's your brother. I know that you know, you have some ties with him, but you just can't defend him anymore because it's just, he's talking so much shit, starting so much shit that you eventually leave him. Well, like everything else, though. And I think that's just the way that, you know, a lot of these people, especially those in the services, are feeling, man. It's like, why should we defend him when he's talking more and more shit, putting our lives on the line for his fucking mouth?
Whoa, boy. This is definitely going to ruffle some feathers.
Down, settle down, Daddy, Donald is here. Mr. President, reports are saying the Iranians have destroyed every gay bar in Tel Aviv. Is this too good to be true? Yes, but they're building them back, bigger and gayer than ever, I promise. Next question.
Big and gay, as... That's what this war is, according to my own personal opinion, as, of course, it looks like the stakes are getting a lot higher, the situation getting more serious, and Donald Trump is going all in, according to some reports. All of this is happening as there's some very important key pieces of infrastructure right now being hit in Iran, as it's not just oil prices spiking, it's also our national debt, as some people are projecting it could go up to as high as $50 trillion during Trump's presidency. Is that realistic here, as we are still trying to figure out how to open up the Strait of Hormuz, not break up our alliances and ties here, as more troops and soldiers are allegedly going to be deployed with boots on the ground, as we are in it for the long haul. That's what some people are saying right now, and it could be one of the reasons why Joe Kemp resigned from one of the top intelligence positions inside of Trump's administration, as Mark Levin is soon going to have a debate that he asked for, that he's probably going to renege out of. We'll get into all of that, because there's a lot to get into, as Joe Kemp is going to be speaking with Tucker Carlson in just a few hours from now, as Tucker Carlson has been one of the most prominent anti-war voices out there that really has been laying it down thick to say.
And Alex Jones joins us.
If you appreciate that, subscribe, click the notification button. We greatly appreciate all the time that you guys spend with us. Natural gas field, and people that relies a lot on importing this energy, this oil, to fuel their power grids. There's reports of blackouts coming for millions of people there, as a lot of people are saying this wasn't even deliberate. This was done, as there's still fire raging at the world's largest natural gas field in South Pars, Iran, that was struck by a BB American missile, as a lot of people are talking about how this is a multi-phase of processing capacity, which has been critically hit, taken offline, which will make the price of energy go up. Right now, I got into it with Tim Pool. He talks about how this is for the petrodollar. I'm saying, in my opinion, it's not, and I respectfully disagreed. And we had a great conversation that I think was very fruitful and very beneficial for everyone to hear. But from my analysis on it, and again, sometimes I'm wrong too, but from my analysis on it, this conflict is going to make energy prices go up for the indefinite future. Why? Because this conflict is long, it's drawn out, but most importantly, BB is hitting all the energy infrastructure of one of the biggest oil-producing countries in the world, right? It's like Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Russia. All those four countries produce the vast majority of the energy for the world. One of them gets taken offline, that is a significant impact. As, of course, the key pieces of their infrastructure that's being hit right now will make it very difficult to get it back upline, and will make it difficult to have a major source of energy in the world. That, of course, will make the prices go up. Iran also sold oil on the dollar system just a few years ago. And whether you like Barack Obama's deal or not, right, if you want to prop up the petrodollar, you have Iran sell oil on the dollar. And they were doing that under Barack Obama's deal. Now,
Trump broke it, though.
Understand here, they're now coming out and saying, yeah, you could travel through the Strait of Hormuz, but you got to trade your oil in one. Why are they doing that? Well, there's a big alliance between now Iran, Russia, China, and some people are saying that it's not really an alliance. Some people are saying that they're not really there for each other. I think it's pretty clear that this is definitely creating a lot of instability, a lot of energy spikes, as there's now even talks and conversations about Turkey being pissed off about everything that's happening here, and a potential conflict being laid out for the general public that's watching Fox News, that's
prophetic.
Bibi and the United States should get involved against Turkey after this. Now, there's also a lot of serious talks and considerations about Pakistan, and of course, it doesn't end here, guys. People think it ends. It doesn't end here, as of course the oil prices going up impacts everything going up because you need oil to transport things. Once transporting things costs more expensive, everything becomes more expensive. As we're already teetering on an economic financial disaster, and allegedly Trump is going all in. Allegedly. Is that the case here? Well, it depends on what he sees, what he hears. If he's just watching Fox News, it's like 99.9% support you, Trump. Yeah, go, greatest, most magical,
America,
bravest,
fuck
most
yeah,
awesomest thing ever. And I'm like, bro, like, temper it down just to make it a little bit realistic. But they're like cartoonish levels of buffoonery, of just
like Team America, World Police.
That's literally what happens when you
America, it's fuck yeah.
But I'm like, I don't think this. Anyway, before getting into the U.S. debt and Trump allegedly going all in and playing videos from Tucker Carlson about his criticisms here, we wanted to tell you about the sponsor of today's video.
All right, of course, so he does have to add
at what's happening in the world inside a tax advantage. Go to get into. This is also important, and I think worth talking about here. The national debt just hit 93 trillion.
93 trillion.
Oil prices set to spike. New York Post. Oil spikes after Iran says world's largest gas field hit in strikes. As now, they're going to probably retaliate against other oil infrastructure in the region, right? And now we have probably Saudi Arabia and all these other countries hit. And when their countries are hit, what's going to happen next, right? Thomas Massey. Energy's going to go up. Prices of everything are going to go up. Thomas Massey just released this clip highlighting how the debt, according to the way he's able to calculate it, officially, in just a couple hours ago, struck $39 trillion. Excuse me for a second. Yeah. That's huge. That's crazy. Right. Peter Schiff. The U.S. national debt just surpassed $39 trillion, up $2.8 trillion since Trump took office 14 months ago. That's big, right? He's
about $3 trillion.
Guy that's like, hey guys, let's cut spending and taxes. He's like, okay, we'll cut taxes for like some people, and we're gonna spend more. And they're like, can we just stop spending? Like, I know we talked about like the Deutsche thing. The Deutsche thing got stopped, but it started off great. People were like really happy about it. I wish it went to the Pentagon so we can make sure our military is actually not getting scammed by the military-industrial complex, which we know they are because they have no bid contracts. Excuse me, guys. I gotta get rid of that here. But as Peter Schiff says, as war costs soar, interest rates rise, and recessions ensures budget deficits will skyrocket, the national debt could hit $50 trillion before Trump leaves office, and he's not wrong, right? And listen, when it comes to like Peter Schiff, we criticized him before. When he's right, he's right, and we told people, hey, he was actually right here at this particular moment in the past, and I think he's right here, and that assessment is terrifying, right? As right now, we're still talking about how do we open up the Strait of Hormuz, as the world's largest military in the world can't open up a 25-mile patch of land. That right there is kind of concerning here, as allegedly NATO allies are in talks to reopen up the Strait of Hormuz. As NATO allies, I watched coverage from the UK, and they're like, listen, NATO's not going to get involved here. NATO's a defensive force. This is not a defensive operation. This is an offensive operation with the legal. This is what they're saying in the UK, right? With them specifically saying there's still uncertainty about the legality of all of this, as there's British media reports talking to British government officials that were part of the negotiations saying the negotiations were going great, and that it was Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff that wanted war that got Donald Trump to do this war. That's what the British are saying. Right? And I try to look, I'm like, what are the Iranians seeing? The Iranians are seeing a whole bunch of fake AI videos of them like blowing up all the Middle East. That's what they're saying in Iran. In the UK, they're like, this is Trump's illegal war. We didn't need to do this. The negotiations were fine. They were making progress. We're not doing anything here. Right? So what NATO allies? Well, maybe some of them might get involved here. But the big naval assets are, of course, with France. Right? France has the biggest naval assets. Germany has a lot of minesweeping type of naval vessels that would be good here. But of course, all of them are like, I don't know. As now, we even have Turkey coming out and saying that there's a, quote, unnamed network of dragging the Middle East into catastrophe. As we have Erdogan saying, a network that has seized power, that sees itself as superior to other human beings, is dragging our region step by step into catastrophe. He says first Gaza, then Yemen, then Lebanon, and finally the attacks that is targeting Iran. As of course, this is what I said. This is what I kind of detailed about the multi-step plan here for this type of conflict that has already begun way before last year. And we all, and again, the big type of question after Iran falls is what's going to happen with Turkey? Well, there's already positioned to start a major war with them. As right now, the USS Tripoli has just been spotted moving from Singapore, as there's reports allegedly of them rushing 5,000 special forces and naval landing groups into position for potential invasion of Karg Island in Iran. That's where they are able to export a lot of their oil. But why are we hitting their oil infrastructure? Now there's going to be more oil infrastructure hit by the Iranians, which of course is going to skyrocket prices, which is going to make things even more insane, as the Americans are allegedly telling Bibi stop bombing these oil facilities. And the Bibi and his government are like, I don't know, we're just going to do it. Why? Now, we have this anonymous post here. I haven't seen confirmation of this, but this is what is being allegedly talked about here. This is from Haaretz, allegedly reporting that Trump has decided to go to the end in his war with the regime in Iran, quote, until it falls. How do we make it fall when they are literally underground with granite type of like mountains protecting them? That they could be there for an extremely long time, boots on the ground, or nuclear weapons. Now, Haaretz is reporting that he no longer is listening to his to the advice of his advisors. And again, everything we're hearing internally from my sources is that he doesn't want to hear negative news, right?
Yep.
He likes brown nosing. The little that I've been around Donald Trump,
yep, shit
extreme
on the nose.
amount of brown nosing, and that's concerning.
Yeah, because you see that on South Park's depiction of it.
As people are saying, difficult days are ahead here. Now, is Haaretz just doing wishful thinking for Bibi and their type of Knesset neocon type of faction of their government? Could be, right? But with the way
or
that
is it
this
all
goes, with the messaging from this administration, it does seem like we're going all in. It does seem like, hey, we're going to do this until they fall, and that could mean an extremely long time, right? And that's not something I signed up for. That's not something I want. As President Trump just posted, saying, I wonder what would happen if we, quote, finished off what's left of the Iranian terror state and let the countries that use it, we don't be responsible for the so-called Strait. That would get some of our non-responsive allies in gear and fast. Potentially hinting at pulling out here and being like, yeah, you guys figure it out. Well, that would be interesting. As, of course, there are a lot of cracks inside of Trump's administration, especially after Joe Kent's resignation, that talked about how Iran was no immediate threat and that the Americans were pressured into this conflict by Bibi and Bibi's lobby. Now the administration is coming out and saying, absolutely not. Iran totally was an imminent threat. And people are like, can you show us evidence and proof of this? And they're like, no, we can't. Okay. You just want us to believe you? Yeah. Sorry, we can't. Not when the stakes are this high. And you're probably lying. And I believe, personally, Joe Kent here. Now, Joe Kent is being viciously attacked by the neocon right that's making up all these lies, and all these anonymous sources are against him, calling him a traitor, leaker. Looks like Mark Levin.
Yep, sounds like another WikiLeaks, right? You know, because WikiLeaks is supposed to be bad too, because he told the truth. You see how this war and information, and anybody who doesn't brown-nose Trump, who ain't up his ass, it's going to get deleted. They're going to take them down, which you know that'll bring in a famine of the word really quick. So he doesn't like the fact that pretty much so, hey, we're out there telling the truth. And a lot of people are listening to the prophets of doom. And this is going very, very bad for them. You know, because again, that would mean that we're right. And that pretty much so, he is Nero 47. I mean, it's all out there. People are tuning in to us, you know, which is what makes us, makes our place in the kingdom very much important, because we want to be renowned for going out there and teaching, ultimately, because our reward in heaven, the new kingdom to come, is going to be far greater, you know. So we're looking for a better kingdom, and we're looking for a better position in that new kingdom, which is why we do everything diligent, you know. We're looking for that reward as well, you know. So we, you know, for one, we get out of here, get away from this devil and everything he does, and everything to be better, and to have a very good position in the next kingdom. Assassinations only make Iran stronger. Aggressors to pay price, and this is pretty much after they killed this man to the left here, you know. Leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khomeini, has vowed revenge for the assassination of the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, Larijani, and Israeli terror strike, stressing that perpetrators will pay the price soon. Ayatollah Khomeini paid tribute to Larijani, saying he was learned, far-sighted, intelligent and committed individual possessing diverse experience across various political, military, security, cultural, and managerial fields. Ayatollah Khomeini noted that the assassination of Larijani reflects both his importance and the deep hostility of the enemies of Islam towards him. So, like everything else, though, this will not go unanswered. And, you know, RT's going into it about what Joe Kent was saying, you know, and that pretty much, though, they had to get rid of this guy. They had to, or, you know, they got to, as you would say, they didn't fire him, but, you know, because he left, they got to do everything they can to dismember him, to pretty much take down what he's saying, because he's out there saying, look, man, you know, we didn't want this war.
All right, let's discuss this now live with Michael Scheuer, former CIA head of counterterrorism Bin Laden unit. Michael, thanks for speaking with us. Do you think the resignation of Donald Trump's senior counterterrorism official reflects a growing division within the U.S. government over the war in Iran, and can we expect more resignations?
I would be surprised if there are more than one or two more. Most anybody who's worked in the intelligence service on terrorism or on the Middle East knows full well that what Mr. Flynn said was exactly correct. We had no interests in going in there. In fact, we claimed that we had destroyed their nuclear capability. So that obviously either was wrong or a lie. And the idea that anyone cannot believe how closely America is dominated by the Israeli government, Jewish American organizations and their money, and generally the power of saying something's anti-Semitic automatically becomes true. So Mr. Flint, to me at least, and I don't know him, was exactly on the mark.
So Joe Kent, in his statement, wrote that he supported Trump's foreign policies during his first term when he, quote, decisively applied military power without getting asked, meaning the United States, drawn into never-ending wars. So what has changed now? I mean, does this mean that the Iran war is not going to end anytime soon in the eyes of U.S. officials?
Well, we went to Afghanistan and tried to defeat the Mujahideen after the Soviets lost to them, and we tried to defeat terrorism and Bin Laden by killing them one person at a time. It obviously didn't work. The Iranians are intelligent, very well-educated people, and they're not going to have a government shut down because one or two or three of them get killed, or 10 of them. It's a daydream. Will it last forever? I suppose they'll bleed us out at some point, but there's just not just focusing on what we're talking about with this gentleman who resigned a job he probably loved. What he said was true, and there's no way around it. And for him to be now nailed by so many Jewish American correspondents on the regular media and in the independent media just shows how deeply the corruption at the hands of Israel has occurred in the United States. They're afraid of the Israelis.
He also writes the war in Syria, which is where his wife was killed, was also manufactured by Israel. Is there any truth to that claim?
Oh, I think so. I think clearly the Israelis either dragged us or we agreed to be dragged into getting rid of Assad. And, we were campaigning against Assad politically and probably covertly for years before we got the boot finally. The blatant reason for the Syrian war and for the Iranian war is a thing called Greater Israel. It's never going to stop. There's never going to be enough dead Arabs or dead Muslims. And that's the way it is. And the president, for whatever reason, has signed on fully to that. And I think it's a disaster for America. We're already, for example, the only 500-plus members of Congress taking money from the Israelis. Now, what do you think that yields? That yields the only issue on which Democrats and Republicans agree, that Israel is always right and we can never say no to Israel.
The Iranian foreign minister says Donald Trump has indeed shifted from America first to Israel first. Why would the U.S. president agree to such a political shift? Because America first was the cornerstone of his campaign in his first and his second term.
Because they're the Israeli states of Babylon.
I don't know the answer to that. Maybe he thinks Americans are stupid. But we've been owned for the Israelis by a long time. They sunk one of our intelligence ships, remember, in the early 70s or sometime in the 70s. And that attack was approved by Lyndon Johnson, who was president at the time, and he knew that that Americans would get killed in the attack. This is not a new development. Now, since Truman took campaign money from the Israelis in 1948 for his re-election campaign, we have been tied, shackled to them, if you will, for reasons that are inexplicable, I think, to most Americans. But that's the way life is here in America at the time.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you, Michael Scheuer, former CIA head of counterterrorism bin Laden unit.
Oh, there you have it, though. It's a forever thing, the least of the flock, which owns Babylon the Great. And Zelensky has confirmed 200 Ukraine drone operatives are in Mideast assisting against Iran. So Ukraine has declared war against Iran and is actually helping with this. So, you know, Trump was on his knees begging Zelensky for help, and Zelensky answered. Ukraine's President Zelensky on Tuesday offered rare confirmation that his government has sent 200 Ukraine air defense experts to the Mideast, where they are helping allies to counteract Iranian drone attacks and on the cheap. Zelensky has publicly backed President Trump's decision to attack Iran. He offered an example that if it costs the United States about $4 million per interceptor to shoot down a merely $50,000 Iranian shared drone, making Ukraine's methods a far cheaper and attractive alternative. So, pretty much so, and he said it right here publicly.
Партнери звертаються до нас, до України, щоб ми допомогли із захистом від шахедів. З експертизою, з реальною роботою. Були запити щодо цього і від американської сторони. Зараз цими днями я говорив з лідерами Еміратів, Катару, Бахрейну, Йорданії, Кувейту. Будуть ще перемовини з іншими регіональними лідерами. Ми координуємося з нашими партнерами в Європі. Звісно, будь-яка наша допомога, тільки за умови, що це не зменшить наш власний захист в Україні. І що це буде інвестицією в наші дипломатичні можливості. Ми допомагаємо в захисті від війни тим, хто допомагає нам, Україні, наближати достойне завершення війни.
So, while the UK itself doesn't really support a war against Iran, Ukraine does. So, yeah, the UK used to, you know, like when they attacked Iraq originally, of course, you know, the UK was totally on board with it. Well, the new UK, you can say, is Ukraine, you know, supporting and totally going with Donald Trump 1,000%, right? But, you know, hey, you know, they had this proxy of Zelensky for quite a while on the Israeli side because he is pretty much Amalek. So it makes sense. And so another one, Apostle Tahar put up, man, you know, like he said, you know, since the beginning, expect 2 or 3 videos a day from him. You know, short videos, snippets, you know, because, hey, you know, we're just backing up, you know, the scriptures because it's already happening in real time.
I'm doing all praise to Yahweh, Hashem, 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 God, Shalom to 144,000. Let's see, look at that, Shalom to you all. I'm going to make this super, super quick. And I'm going to title this video, Nero is our Savior. Nero is our Savior. He's going to save us because he's going to do the things that need to be done for Yahweh to come back with the angels and get us. Yeah. So he's doing a good thing. Anyway, I'm going to let you listen to this. This is fair use. I slowed it down. Put up by Dabu77. Warning to America, Trump to take Hormuz by force. 2 top Iranian officials eliminated. I believe he was one of them. Now they got this guy up in the heavens, so we still don't know what's going on with this guy. I don't know if they got him, but they got him. This guy is still, he's going to be protected because he's doing what the Most High wants him to do. So let me just go ahead and play this. 3 minutes long. Another short one.
We've got some warnings here for America and some updates as Iran continues an intense attack on all of its surrounding neighbors after Israel hits the country and takes out 2 of its top officials. This Ali Larijani that you see here on the left, he was the one walking in the streets here recently, and we were saying, well, they're not going to be able to hit him in the street with all the people. So what did they end up doing? They hit him at his home late at night, and they also took out a general with the last name Soleimani. Those 2 taken out, and Iran just continuing here to promise major blowback, and they're hitting different areas. Now, the Straits of Hormuz turned into a weapon here, and they're saying that no one's going to be able to get through unless they're friendlies, and they're controlling everything through it. Trump is countering, saying that he's going to take the Straits of Hormuz by force. Some are warning that's going to be a bad move. We've even got an
This guy's a complete idiot.
NATO commander here giving a chilling warning to America, saying that Trump's made a fatal mistake here, and that him making these moves, killing all these individuals without actually having any kind of idea on what they're going to do, does not look good. And now it looks like Trump's getting caught with no plan, because he's turning around saying he no longer needs NATO's help, because all the allies...
He no longer needs NATO's help. Revelation 17, from the 12th verse on down to the end. He doesn't need NATO's help. He just, earlier this morning, yesterday, 2 days ago, yesterday, he was asking for help, begging for NATO to come in, which means he's in distress. They're not doing so well. They need help. 2, we don't need them. You know what their response is? We don't need you either. We don't want to be with y'all. We don't want to join forces. This is that hatred. Revelation 17. Everything that we see that's happening, we filter right through the scriptures. Everything that the scripture said, prophetic wise, is coming to pass. Right on time, right in the right order.
Wise he called on did not show up. So they're saying that the threats to NATO here reveal a glaring absence of any strategy on Iran. And this is why many are saying he needs to offer him to get out ASAP. Trump then turning around saying, well, he doesn't see it ending this week. Someone asked him straight up. He says it won't be over this week. It could take several weeks, a month or more, going into April for sure at this point. And they admit that their end game strategy is going to be different than Israel's. The whole thing with BB out there in the air as well, the ghost of BB, all these videos have been AI, although...
So they got him up in the heavens. No sign of BB. Where BB at?
Recent one.
What the hell? Where FEMA at? Where BB at? They say he hasn't. All he has to do is do a live thing saying, "I'm not dead. Here I am." They keep putting up AI videos. You find any video they do, he got 6 fingers.
Can you see if it checks out, if it's real, where he's with all of his military cabinet members? But time and time again, every single one they've shown has been AI. And we're still waiting to see a solid one here. So we've got these warnings out there that the blowback is going to be crucial in America, and that, you know, dissing our allies out here in a time of war is not good and it's not strategic. So I don't know what the blowback is going to be, but you can feel it's coming. Join me on the live streams where I break this down further. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Right here on Dabu 77. Much love.
Right, shalom. On to the next.
So there you have it. You know, Israeli state unleashes war against energy production amid new Gulf fury in Iran. Iran launched ballistic missiles at Riyadh while Arab and Muslim diplomats gathered together in the capital and attacked a gas facility in Qatar. So they're blowing up infrastructure. They're going after the gas, and pretty much so, it's on fire for sure. I mean, I can't reiterate that enough, which pretty much though, you want to know what ushers in the MOTB? Well, you're looking at it. Iran launched ballistic missiles against Saudi Arabia's capital as senior Muslim and Arab diplomats were meeting in Riyadh, and damaged natural gas facility in Qatar on Wednesday in a sign that the U.S.-Israeli war against Iran is spiraling into a no-holds-barred conflict. Iran's attacks against the Gulf were a reprisal against the Israeli strike on Iran's half of South Pars, the world's largest gas field that the Islamic Republic shares with Qatar. So, like everything else, though, it's an eye for an eye, and it's, you know, they're also seeing that anybody that's assisting the U.S. as complicit in anything that happens to Iran is fair game. Qatar condemns dangerous Israeli attack against gas field. Again, Qatar and Iran actually share the oil together. So it's really surprising that they agreed to even host a U.S. base, considering the partnership that they had with Iran, but they kind of wanted to play both sides. But they're going to have to side with Iran if they're going to protect their interests. Iran vowed to hit energy targets throughout the Gulf in response to its strikes on the South Park gas field. Gas processing facilities on the Iranian side of the field were damaged in strikes on Wednesday. While the Israeli state has not taken the responsibility for the strikes, Axios reported that they were carried out by Israeli terrorists in coordination with the U.S. So they were both doing it. You know, even though the U.S. doesn't claim to that was just the Israeli state. It was both, because they both launched this war together. So guess what? Fair game and any retaliation. Trump lifts Jones Act for 60 days in effort to lower oil price. So like everything else, so one of his tariffs that he put up, you know, the Jones Act. The Jones Act is a protectionist law that was meant to bolster the domestic shipbuilding industry by forbidding foreign ships from transporting goods between U.S. ports. President Trump's decision to issue a 60-day Jones Act waiver is just another step to migrate the short-term disruptions to the oil market as the U.S. military continues meeting the objectives of Operation Epstein Fury, while White House Secretary Leavitt wrote on X Wednesday. So, like everything else, so he's putting an amendment for something that he put into law, the Jones Act, just to try to ease the price jumps. Iranian strikes cause extensive damage to key Qatar gas hub. Iranian strike caused extensive damage to Qatar's key gas plant, escalating the Gulf energy war and triggering a diplomatic crisis between the countries. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of math here. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of math, so I'm going to type this in. How many gallons of gas are in a barrel? Because if it's 20, then it makes sense what the prices are now. But it might be more than just 20 gallons. Yep, petroleum refines in the United States produce 19 to 20 gallons of motor gasoline and 11 per barrel. So, okay, so one oil barrel is 42 gallons. So the markup on this stuff is pretty big, so it's actually twice the amount. So you get about 42 gallons per barrel. Alright, so gas right now, at least at Costco, is $5 a gallon. So you do the math there, you can see that, okay, so 1/8 of that, you take that number there, because 42 times, you're getting 42 gallons, per barrel. So you take that number, 100, and divide it by 42. So let me get that calculator. So let's go ahead and take this, clear that. So it's 42 gallons per barrel, right? 42. No. So we take the number, clear that. Alright, so we're going to take the number 100, right? It's about 105 per barrel, right? 105 divided by 42, it would mean $2.50 a gallon. Obviously, the markup from the $2.50 a gallon, well, now they have to sell it for twice that. You see how this goes? So, and this is, I'm just looking at the Costco. I'm not even talking about Chevron or the other ones, but looking at the Costco gas being $5 a gallon. So, the markup, if they're getting $2.50 per gallon, means that it has to be twice the amount of any of these numbers, all right? So, say you take it goes up 200 per gallon, then it'll be close to $10. I mean, yeah. So you can see how dangerous this is at just $200 per barrel, causing gas to be about $10 a gallon. That's what you're looking at here when you do the math. See how this all works? Because of Trump's shit talking, you know, this is what's happening, and people are pissed off about it. You know, you can't help but kind of, you know, laugh in the background when the person that said she voted for him 3 times in Pennsylvania said, Trump, you're a fucking piece of shit, right there on TV. You know, so she thinks he's a fucking piece of shit, and shame on her for voting those 3 times. She said, I guess I must have been pretty fucking stupid. And that was on live TV. It was on CBS when they interviewed her. That's what, and Pennsylvania was it is a very high Trump state, but they're thinking twice about him. Qatar expels Iranian diplomats after strike on LNG hub. Israeli attacks Iran's navy in Caspian Sea. So they are striking no doubt that, of course, the Navy would be attacked. I mean, you know, but Trump, according to him, he blew up all their Navy. Israeli strikes Iran Navy in Caspian Sea. Iran Foreign Minister discusses Strait of Hormuz with EU Khalis oil dumps amid reports of Iran launching on KSI, largest Qatar NLG export hit by Iranian missiles. Doha expels diplomats. Yeah, that all recently happened, you know, recently. Some Gulf states want to ensure Iran's missile arsenal destroyed for good as EU, Russia, China demands ceasefire. Beijing ignores Trump's Hormuz plea. So, you know, they're still trying to look for an exit plan, and now it's a long war. Well, the Israeli state never wanted it, but you see where the Caspian Sea is there. And this is another way of getting oil. So now the Israeli state is trying to attack Iran on that side of it. Trump threatened to blow up world's largest gas field. I mean, this guy doesn't back down at all. U.S. President warned attack on the South Pars area if Iran targets Qatar in response to the Israeli terror attacks. The U.S. will massively blow up the South Pars gas field, the world's largest, if Iran continues to strike Qatar energy facilities. President Trump warns. Israeli state launched attacks on Wednesday on Iran's facilities in the South Pars gas field in the Gulf, which it shares with Qatar. The South Pars spans almost 1,000 square kilometers and hosts an estimated 1,800 trillion cubic feet of gas. In response, Iran attacked Qatari LNG facility and has threatened counterstrikes on key energy infrastructure across the region. So, yeah, so Trump is doubling down on this. Oh, we'll just blow it all up. And like everything else, so, and they're talking about this on InfoWars, why the U.S. realistically will not succeed in taking over the Strait of Hormuz. And they're going on record. So here's how they realistically look at why the U.S. will not be able to take the island like they claim to.
There are 2 islands at the north, if you look at that, there's 2 islands at the north end of the Strait of Hormuz. Keshem Island and Larak Island. And you have to, if you're on a ship leaving the Persian Gulf, you have to coordinate with Iran and drive between those 2 islands in that narrow little gap, nice and slow, where they can talk to you and look at you with binoculars. So people will say, well, Matt, the Marines are coming, they can take those islands. Keshem Island is bigger than Okinawa. Okinawa was a 3-month battle in 1945, the spring of 1945. 12,000 American troops died taking Okinawa in 3 months. Keshem Island is more rugged than Okinawa. There's 1 million people living on it. We are not going to be able to open the Strait of Hormuz. We would have to carpet bomb 1,000 nuclear bombs all the way across the bottom of that. The people, I think, just don't really understand the scale of things. If you can put up number 3, it's called Iran and Vietnam. It's the gold-colored maps. That's it. South Vietnam is 1/10 the size of Iran. We had 500,000 troops in Vietnam in 67 and 68 at the height. 500,000 troops. That little part of Iran that I shaded is the size of South Vietnam. And we think that we're going to send 5,000 Marines and make a dent in that? that they can have thousands and thousands of missiles and drones. And if somehow we had a magic discombobulator that turned off drones deep down in caves, they would be able to fire torpedoes that are already underwater. There are sea mines that launch themselves from the shore. We can blow up everything we can see, and it won't make a difference. If people say, well, Matt, you can't compare World War II, our weapons are so much better. This is sophistry, this is sophomoric, this is really foolish. In warfare, I don't care if you're talking about, the Greeks and the Spartans, the sword and the shield evolved in tandem. The offense and the defense. Sometimes there's a jump ahead, like the machine gun coming out, and maybe some people are still trying a cavalry charge, so they get slaughtered. But in essence, the sword and the shield evolved together. At this point, we're kind of back to World War I, where even in Ukraine, nobody can just do a blitzkrieg, and cover 100 miles with an armored column. The Schwarzkopf thing, that is over. That's done. So if we're going to send ships through the Strait of Hormuz, it's going to be a shooting gallery.
Yep, exactly. It will be a shooting gallery. So, like everything else, though, he's going into this.
Neighbors. So Khamenei, not only did he get killed, but his son survived, but his son, Junior, his wife was killed, siblings killed, children killed, neighbors killed. You think these guys are going to surrender because we keep assassinating leaders? Is there a point where you think that a culture of martyrdom, where the greatest straight route to heaven is to die defending your country, to die defending Islam, and they see these as intertwined, not separate? Do you really think that they're going to just reach a pain threshold where they're going to surrender? They didn't surrender when they were being poison gassed. They didn't surrender when 500 Scud missiles landed in Tehran over a couple months. And even if we did flatten Tehran, the guys that are surrounding the Strait of Hormuz, they're not going to surrender. And there's absolutely no chance of rooting out every drone and missile aiming at the Strait of Hormuz. If you can put up number 2, which is called Trump's Hormuz toll booth, the Iranians have obviously been planning for this for years. There are 2 islands at the north. If you look at that, there's 2 islands at the north end of the Strait of Hormuz: Keshem Island and Larak Island. And you have to, if you're on a ship leaving the Persian Gulf, you have to coordinate with Iran and drive between those 2 islands in that narrow little gap.
So it's a war that they cannot win at all. So, Trump also doubling down, saying, well, we don't care if it's another Vietnam. I mean, they're willing to die for it. IRGC sets fire to U.S.-linked oil facilities in 63rd wave of Operation True Promise 4. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps announced the staging of the 63rd wave of its ongoing retaliatory Operation True Promise 4 in the face of unprovoked American-Israeli aggression. So like everything else, though, this shit's being blown up. Yeah, I can definitely tell that 93% of their missile launching capabilities has been taken out. We can see that clearly. It's just fun to watch all the bullshit. So in our sense of humor, we said go Nero, go Trump, because he is going to be what brings about the return of Yahweh Shai. And so here it is, you know what $200 per barrel looks like, because I did the math, that's going to be about $10 a gallon. So $10 a gallon is about what you would pay at Costco. I'm not even talking about something like Chevron or Shell, or Exxon. You're going to be paying even more for that there. I'm just talking about the most economical one, which is Costco gas. Right now it's $5 a barrel, or $5 a gallon, which is about at the $100 a barrel, because of course the markup is to sell it for twice the amount that you're getting it for, which makes sense. So when the cost of it is $5 a barrel, that means that they're going to, or $5 a gallon, it's going to be $10 a gallon to you. That's how this works. That's why it's such a big money-making industry. So here it is, So expect it to be $10 a gallon very soon.
Folks, I've got to get right into it. There's just too much to cover today. We're going to back-to-back all of these videos. Please share this video with your friends and family, especially those on the left that maybe want to put their heads back in the sand and don't understand what's really happening out there. This is just raw video, raw information so that you guys know what's going on. You can be better prepared for maybe a little bit more chaos coming here in the future. This is video of Iranian missiles striking Israel's almost $70 billion refined petroleum market after the U.S. and Israel engaged in Operation Epic Fury. You can see that the Iron Dome is all but non-existent in these cases. The Revolutionary Guard headquarters in Tehran was stricken by Israeli air jets. Again, folks, just like in this morning's broadcast, people are out there filming with their spy devices, looking up at the sky at the destruction that just rained hell down upon them, and they have 2 seconds from the point you hear the next missile coming. It strikes again. 1 second on that. Could you imagine not taking shelter immediately? Could you imagine thinking that the image that you see, the destruction that you're witnessing, is the last destruction that you will ever see? This explosion is during a pro-Iranian protest in the streets of Iran. Now, I don't think the Iranian people are ever going to take down their own administration. And I think that the game plan of the Trump administration, together with Israel, is to cause so much destruction that there's no rebuilding left possible. This is video like showing Gaza. The aftermath as people are on the streets, as Israeli and American fighter jets pushed missiles deep into the countryside. Here it is again. The streets packed full. So this is another angle from that video that we just saw. You can see that there are literally millions of people saying that the Iranians must fight. A heavy police presence in downtown Toronto after, you guessed it, attacks on the U.S. consulate. This video shows footage. We haven't seen clear interceptions like this before. Look at these. This anti-missile defense system sending these 2 missiles up to intercept this Iranian ballistic. Converging right there, you see a positive interception. Trump cabinet members are reportedly buying underground survival bunkers.
Bunker boy!
I showed you video, maybe it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before, just of that. We have bunker builders, we have food suppliers, warehouse suppliers. They're saying that everybody who has money is going underground.
This is the map that may decide the war.
Because it is going to be a nuclear war.
Everyone at the White House is looking right
how it all falls into place.
Gas, and the Middle East. Let me walk you through why all of these matter.
Okay, so he goes on to show this map, and I'm just going to skip through it. He shows Iraq, Kuwait, Iran, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and here detailing the Strait of Hormuz. So this strait is, as you can see on this map, the choke point. What you're seeing here in the green marks and in the red marks on this map are oil fields. So all of the oil here must make it through the strait to reach the rest of the world.
This area, the oil fields are the bits in green, and the red bits are gas fields. All of the gas, all of the oil needs to get into the Persian Gulf, go through the Strait of Hormuz to get into the high seas, into the global markets. Right now, that's not happening because the oil tankers, the gas tankers, cannot get through the Strait of Hormuz because Iran is threatening to attack them.
And not just threatening to attack, Iran actually is attacking them, and I wouldn't doubt it if we start to see some false events take place in this.
U.S. intelligence believe the Iranians squirreled away what's left of their uranium into what's known as Pickaxe Mountain, a nearly impenetrable bunker buried deep in granite where evil scientists have been working around the clock, cobbling back together a program that was obliterated during Operation Midnight Hammer. The bunker busters might not be able to do the trick. Reports say special forces might have to be inserted to physically shut it down on the ground.
There will be no shutting it down, folks. We're looking at a massacre in the making.
So what makes America special right now is our lethal capacities, our ability to fight war, both because we've been doing it for 20 years, because we have meritocracy in our military, and because we finance it in a way no other country has, and because the AI revolution...
More than don't ask, don't tell.
It's like every company, all the model providers,
those gay lords
and the ontology that makes them valuable, and the chips that they run on are built in this country.
So there's America vying for the next stage of this conflict, which will be brought to you by artificial intelligence. Here's the International Financial Center that I talked about in this morning. I mistakenly said Abu Dhabi. It was in this region of Dubai. This fire was at the chemical plant in Pasadena. This fire in Pasadena is now being reported to be investigated as sabotage at a chemical plant. This is in Texas.
Yep, so we got some false flags happening already.
Of that event. You hear the sirens blaring in the background as evacuation orders were given to individuals. Get out of the area, stay safe. Now, no place is safe right now inside of America. There are safer areas, but basically anywhere you're near industry and infrastructure could be a potential target by America's enemies.
Or their own, to blame Iran.
But one thing that I should add here, and I think it's important for your audience to know, is that all this talk about drones in the United States and the Iranians, these are all lies.
Yep.
The same people who carried out 9/11, I used to be one of those who didn't believe.
So he goes on to say that one of the largest false events in American history is being set up right now. Fuel tankers on fire, heavy fire in the areas, hazmat on the way for that chemical plant fire. This is outside of a D.C. synagogue.
Yeah, these are false flag events to blame Iran.
Call to prayer.
Okay, if you don't think China is also against America, I want you to pay very close attention to this, okay? This video is by a news crew. This news crew is outside. Here's a synagogue right here, okay? Then the news crew pans over, and this is the Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association. At the top window of the Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association, right across from the synagogue, is someone blasting the Muslim call to prayer.
Somebody up there started playing the call to prayer.
Yep, made to look like.
This is the update on what has happened in one of those recent sectarian or religious attacks here inside of our country. They said that the students took it upon themselves to neutralize the threat.
There were students that were in that room that subdued him, and Creditor can no longer.
Yeah, so we're seeing false flag events already, but I think they'll pull off a bigger one.
Folks, we've got some strong individuals inside of America, and everybody better be prepared for the coming fight. This is inside of Manhattan, New York. I want you to listen. Do you hear church bells, or do you hear something else?
We are hearing is come here.
So you get the idea that they're already doing false flag events and expect everything to pick up. So, like everything else, so you can see though that it is being ushered in, that we are looking at MOTB eventually being mandated through this from these causative events, you know, causing a global economic collapse, and then them ushering in the New World Order, you know, and not to mention they already had those things signed into place. You know, you've heard of the Genius Act and a few other things signed into place. Well, you're going to have a digital dollar. Everything's going to be digital by January next year because he's already signed it into law, and it becomes law. So, here we are. We're seeing how this is all ushered in by this war, just speeding things up. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15, it reads, "He is given power to give breath into the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast will even appear to speak, and cause those who do not bow down and worship the image of the beast to be put to death," meaning that pretty much you'll be cut off from society, and they will hunt you down and kill you because you're an enemy of the state. And he compels all, the small and the great, the rich and the poor, the free men and the slaves, to be given a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads, solidifying their allegiance to the beast, to the New World Order. You know, so anybody who doesn't have the implant is to be put to death, ultimately. That's coming. They have the guillotines and everything else. You've heard Donald Trump already talk about the guillotines in his first term, that he has them. And that no one will be able to buy or sell except the one who has the mark, either the name of the beast or the number of its name. So if you don't have that implant, you're not going to be able to buy or sell. So that you have that problem, but then also just being hunted down and killed just for not having it. Things are about to be turned up, you know, and we're going to see it in our lifetime, not too far from now. So we're just getting prepared, and again, we already know that these things are coming to pass, and this is the main one right here, you know, ushering in the MOTB. So hopefully this has all been edifying. If anyone say Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rekakadash, Wal Abba Babal. Brakatum, Jehovah elect, Shalom.